Hey guys, I want to talk about some ways that your mental game is hurting you in Hearthstone. And I think I see lots of people in Twitch chat and I coach people, and often players, the real thing that's holding them back is their beliefs, their approach to the game, their mindset, and not necessarily their raw Hearthstone skill. And adjusting some of your mental game stuff is going to be vastly more helpful than just playing more. So I just wanted to go over, and all these ideas are kind of influenced from Jared Tendler's The Mental Game of Poker. I highly recommend it. But I just want to talk over three really common things that I see in Hearthstone players, and that if you're a player and you're doing this, it's hurting you. It's hurting you emotionally. It's hurting your rank. It's hurting you in lots of different ways, and basic strategies for how to fix it. So the first one is, this is the most common. You see this everywhere, and it hurts me. Now, when I was a poker player, it was different, because if people would say this and I would let them believe this because I was taking their money. And the thing is, people will blame RNG or randomness for their losses, and they will not take responsibility for their own mistakes. And there's multiple reasons why of this, but one of the first things is there's an ego defense. There's when you blame RNG, you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to know that you messed up. You didn't do as well enough. You didn't get outplayed. This person didn't beat you. You just got unlucky. And there's this huge, ego defense that people will do. And RNG is the perfect outlet. And that's part of the reason why RNG games can be so attractive emotionally, is because when you lose, you have this nice, clean, easy excuse. Oh, the RNG, the devs, they can't balance for shit. Like, everybody has this stuff. Like, you can just do this over and over and over again and keep wondering why your rank is horrible for years, but you just keep blaming RNG. And the players at the top, they're just luckier. I don't even know. Like, it sounds so ridiculous to me, but this is what I literally hear. This is what I literally see on Reddit, is that the players in Grandmasters are just fundamentally luckier than the players, at Bronze. And that's why. Like, I've literally seen those posts. People literally believe that. So it's a thing of what you should do. And what's so attractive, what's so mystical about the RNG fallacy is that it technically is true. Every game that you lose is a mixture of things you can control and things you can't control. And you always had, now maybe a few games you got so lucky and you threw that you can't even blame RNG, but people will find a way. They'll zoom in on the one thing they got unlucky on, and they might ignore the 4 or 5 things they got lucky on. I've seen it many times. Our life is always a mixture of things we can control and things we can't control. And reality is RNG is something we can't control. So it's not a good use of time. It's not a good use of energy to focus on. And it balances out in the long run. If you're unlucky today, you might be lucky tomorrow. On average, in the long run, it will balance out. And people are like, no, it won't. It will. It will. Now, you might get, if I happen to buy one lottery ticket and win the lottery, that might not ever balance out. But if I were to buy millions of lottery tickets or billions of lottery tickets, in the end, it would balance out. So it's a thing of, yes, in one little series. So if you happen to win some tournament, but in the long run, it balances out. So when I think recognizing that, I think so. Some really good things I like to do. I like to acknowledge, find the games. If you find yourself blaming RNG, find the games you got lucky on. Find some games that you just lucked out like crazy and say, look at these. Look at these games. How lucky I got. Well, karma. RNG karma, you got lucky here, you're going to get unlucky somewhere else. So then next time you get unlucky, remember but I did get really lucky the other day. So, have that mindset where you're looking at it as a whole and not looking at it with a microscope where you're looking at one thing. That's one little thing. Two, I think just one of the things, that this is something with the mental game of poker. If you really struggle this, injecting logic is a great thing to do. So this is where you say a mantra out loud that when you're feeling emotional, when you're feeling, oh, this is bull crap, I got so unlucky, say, our luck averages out in the long run. The reality is I have no control over luck. I only have control over my actions. If I have winning actions that are outplaying my opponents in the long run, I will win more than I lose. I can only focus on that. And also, if I handle the emotions of RNG better than my opponent, I will have an edge as well. So RNG is literally helping me if I handle it correctly. Those are the statements I use when I get unlucky. And I think I've gotten told many times in GM, they'll say things where I get really unlucky and I just handle it because I know that's going to happen. It's going to happen. I get really unlucky. It's going to happen. I get lucky. And if I freak out, if I feel injustice every time, it's going to hurt me and it's going to hurt my game and it's going to give my opponents an edge. So that's what I recommend. One, try and find some disconfirmation of this lie you're telling yourself that you're fundamentally unlucky. Find this, and then two, once you believe logically, maybe away from the table, once you've convinced yourself, like, okay, RNG, it averages out in the long run. I'm going to get lucky some games. I'm going to get unlucky other games. Then use the injecting logic statement when you get unlucky to keep your emotions under control. Two, I want to talk about when you get nervous at higher ranks. So I think a lot of players I hear where they're climbing and they get to a new high rank and they freak out. You know, they get to Diamond 2 and they're all the legend and they choke. They can't handle it. And one of the reality is, I like to look at your skill level as a bell curve. So let's say you're you're 1,000 Legends player, rank 1,000. That's what you truly are. Well, sometimes you're going to be rank 800, and sometimes you're going to be 1,200. So when you're in rank 800, the players you're playing are going to be better than you on average. Now, they might be someone who's rank 1,100 who's really getting lucky, but there might also be a rank 600 player who's gotten unlucky who's playing against you. So you're going to be playing against better players, and it's going to be harder. They're going to punish your mistakes more. And this is something they call in statistics that, because you're usually going to go back to 1,000, called regression to the mean. So when you have a good performance, usually you're going to have the next one. You're actually going to have a worse performance. And people think, oh, did I get worse? And it's no. You went back to what is average. So the classic one is in piloting, where they had in the military, they would say when these pilots would have these really good performances, and when the drill sergeant would say, oh, whenever I compliment somebody, they usually do worse. And whenever I yell at them and tell them that they did crap, they usually do better. But the regression to the mean principle said it's not actually their compliment. It's just that they're going, when they did bad, that's because they had a bad performance. They're usually likely to do better. And same thing when when they were doing good. So bottom line is, I think when you're playing at a higher rank, that you use above your normal skill level, often you're going to go down because you're not quite there yet, and that's okay. But also when you're at a higher rank, it's a great opportunity to build up resilience and to play with players that are better than you. So it's an element of when you're playing at a higher rank, you're going to get punished more. You're going to have this, and I think players often, what I recommend is players often when they're higher rank think, oh, I got to do something crazy. I got to do these great plays. And if you're playing at a higher rank for the first time, what I recommend you do is you just play your fundamentals. You play your game. You don't do anything fancy. You do what you know. And that's what I do in tournaments. That's what I think. You practice things outside, but when you're in something that's important to you, your brain's not going to be able to handle these new situations as well, especially under lots of pressure. So it's best to just play your game as well as you can, without doing anything necessarily that fancy. And that will do well. Like, you'd be surprised. Like, you don't need, if you're trying to get to legend for the first time, you don't need crazy tricks or nutso stuff. You just need good fundamentals. And often people get a higher rank and they think they need the crazy tricks. And no, now that's what they need, the fundamentals more than ever. So, and that goes another thing is like, so also when you're playing higher, this know that you're often going to go down, and just hang in there, play your fundamentals. And if you're nervous, you're feeling this, you can reframe it in your brain as I'm not nervous, I'm excited. And literally, it's the same adrenal response. The only difference between nervousness and excitement is how your prefrontal cortex interprets the emotion. So say, I'm not nervous, I'm excited. I'm excited to be playing. And if you win, that's great. But if you lose, you know, the good run couldn't get forever. You're going to get better. You're going to raise your whole bell curve. And the last thing I want to talk about is kind of related to this one. I often get players, they get to high rank, that higher rank, and they're afraid to play. They're afraid to play. They're afraid to keep playing because they're afraid they'll lose and they won't practice enough. And a lot of what happens to this is you win, you're at a higher rank, and you get this feeling I'm a great player. I'm not a rank 500 player. I'm not a diamond 3 player. I'm a legend player. I'm a rank 200 player. I'm a rank 900 player. I'm not, those days of being a rank 2000 player, they're over. And the reality is, but then they hold on and they're afraid. And I think this is a lot more important. When I used to play poker, you always you could often make a lot of money and then be afraid to take risks. And you'd be afraid to take risks, and then you would just slowly lose all your money. The reality is, Hearthstone, you could just quit, at a certain rank. But the reality is, there are no real consequences to losing. So if you lose your rank, just get it back. And that's what you're afraid of. You know you're not quite there yet where you can get it back consistently. You're at a higher rank than you've ever been. And I think the first thing to acknowledge is that you're not as good as your current rank right now. You could be, but you're on the top end of your bell curve. And that's why with your range of how good you're playing. So acknowledging that you're probably going to have to go down eventually, but then you can go back up again. So I think that losing that attachment, and I think this is an element of people want to feel I'm a great player, and that can be painful. But I think what really helped me is I said, because I would sometimes struggle with these things as well, is do I want to feel like I'm a great player, or do I want to be a great player? And if I want to be a great player, I'm going to have to feel like I'm a bad player sometimes. I'm going to have to lose. I'm going to have to lose rank. I'm going to have to make adjustments. I'm going to have to feel pain as I realize I'm not good enough yet. I have to make better my game. I have to get my fundamentals stronger. I have to learn new things. I have to learn new classes. And that's painful. So, but if you're not willing to go through that pain, you're not going to be a great player. And that's okay. But if you're truly not worried about that, then just play. So I think the fact that you are afraid to play shows that you do care. So the reality is you're going to go down, and then you can go back up again. Like when you're at a higher rank than you're normally, you're going to regress to the mean. So I think once you have that, that can really help. So anyways, I just wanted to talk about that stuff. I might do more of these where I talk about other common mental game issues of players and people in my chat and questions I get a lot. If you want to know more, I almost am always afraid to recommend it because the worst thing that could happen to me is everyone in Hearthstone reads this book. But I highly recommend reading The Mental Game of Poker. Talks a lot about this stuff, a lot about tilting, a lot about handling your emotions. So anyways, in detail and a lot better than I do. But anyways, hope that helps. Happy climbing, and really happy climbing. Don't worry about it. Have a good time. Hearthstone's meant to be fun, and if you adjust your beliefs and your expectations correctly, you lose a game, you lose 5 games, you'll be like, you know what? I'm learning. I'm getting unlucky. The wins will come. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have something you struggle with that you'd be interested in me talking about in a future video, feel free to leave a comment saying, I struggle with this issue. I struggle with this issue. Maybe I can figure it out. Maybe I can help make a video on it. So anyway, guys, hope that's helpful and enjoy.